All right, this is SwanDraws, and I am the Celtic Swan, and I am here to do a demo on drawing. So, this is the traditional drawing aspect of this tutorial. I feel like everybody needs to know how to traditionally draw to be able to draw. Being able to sketch on paper is critical. I feel like we are very reliant on digital, and that makes it so that we have a harder time working with traditional media and we are more intimidated by it because it's a lot more permanent. So my goal here is to show you guys how to sketch 3 separate things. So we're going to start out by sketching a character that I know how to draw really, really well. We're going to start with Nico. So for sketching, I'm using the ballpoint pen that I talked about in my prior video, and I'm using a Canson standard sketchbook for all media. It's like $10 at Michael's. I go through one of these in about 2 weeks, so I go through a lot of sketchbooks. The trick to sketching and being a good sketching artist is to draw a lot. So we are going to say that if you're going to be sketching, you need to be filling at least 12 pages every 2 days. If you're younger or you're in school and you just don't draw that much and you don't want to draw for a profession, I'd say sketch, 2 to 3 pages every day. But for me, if I'm drawing serious. And so I will literally sketch 12 full pages in a night, easy. So to start out, we're just going to draw Nico. Now, as I was talking about in the video prior, and I'm going to check our angle. Are we good? Yep, we're good. Okay. My lovely camera lady holding the camera for me. So always be bold. When you're going to be sketching, it is important to sit down and not be timid. Every stroke you put on the paper matters. I haven't warmed up yet, so this is going to be my warm-up. I'm starting with somebody that I draw a lot, somebody I'm comfortable drawing, somebody that I have worked with quite frequently to help me warm up so that I can do the next 2 sketches. So when I sketch, I start out with the basic. I go ahead and I put the face in. Now, when you are sketching in your face, your circle, or whatever shape you use, some people use squares, to put in your face, it is important to realize that wherever you put that circle is going to determine your facial direction. This is already made up. The direction of the face right now is going in a quarter profile in this direction. So Nico will be looking this way. This is important because you need to know generally what the throw of your actual composition is going to be within the first 7 lines on your page. So the next thing I usually do, I don't draw on the face. I go ahead and I throw in a rough gesture sketch of the body. Now, say Nico is going to be a grumpicus, which he's very good at. We're going to put his hand down here in his pocket. So we've got a rough sketch here, a rough render. And his other arm is just going to kind of hang here because we don't want to spend too much time on this. It's just a warm-up sketch. So the next thing I do is I gesture in more of the body lines. So we've got an arm here. We've got the vague shapes of his arms. I don't use too many of these circular joints. I know a lot of how to draw books will tell you put a joint here, put a joint here, put a joint. I don't feel like you need those. I feel like putting in the shapes is more important. An arm shape, so you've got your arm here, you've got the cylindrical shape here, so you've got a cylinder, and you've got more or less another cylinder with just some curve to it. As you sketch, you're going to get really used to shaping out your proportions. Some people use rectangles. I do storyboard work. All of my work is geared at animation. So my work tends to be a lot more round, a lot more circular, a lot more fluid. My goal is to capture the moment, and my general goal for the viewer is so that when they look at my work, they see the moments leading up to this moment and the moments going out. I want you to see the kinetic energy in my piece, which is why every single line that I put down matters. So I come in here and I do a rough sketch of the face shape. Faces are by far the hardest thing to learn how to sketch. Face shapes define a lot of your style. And as you guys can see, I am really just putting these lines in. And as you can also see, things change as you're sketching. I had to adjust my shoulder right there because the neck came in right about there. That happens. don't be afraid to sketch over something. It doesn't have to look clean. That's not the goal here. When you're sketching, you're not looking for perfection. You can make stuff perfect later. You have time for that when you are doing other stuff. So here we have the generic shape. So I'm going to do something simple. I'm going to put Nico in a hoodie. Hoodies are easy. So you just go ahead and you put those lines in there, nice and fluid, confident lines. I want to see confidence. And you can throw in a t-shirt under there. You can see how messy my work is. It's very, very messy right now. You come in here, you know, you throw in your fabric, and this helps keep all your fluid motion in your piece as you're working. You've got all of this fluid motion going on in the piece. So say I want to put Nico's hand in a side pocket. You know, this isn't going to be a hoodie with a front pocket, or maybe it will be. Who knows? We'll find out. So, you okay there, bro?
Arm.
Your arm's falling asleep? Oh gosh. No, Soupy.
Hold on, let me switch. I'm switching my arm.
Okay. My brave camera lady.
Okay, there we go.
Being brave. Sorry, Soupy. I need to get a GoPro. It'll happen. So now we've got, as you can see, I'm actually gesturing in more of the body as I go down. And for me, you know, I've been sketching a long time. I already know roundabouts where the legs would be, but I'm not focusing on that because this is a bust. So I've got the basics here. Let's say he is going to have like a nice creepy sweater, you know, it's Nico. Why not? We'll give him, you know, like kind of a ghastly kind of thing going on. I don't know. It's kind of creepy looking. Yeah, he's a Pokemon trainer. Totally. Yeah, there we go. That's a nice sweater there, Neeks. So the other thing when you're drawing is that a lot of stuff, as you can tell, I've kind of jumped around. How many of you are looking at this and being like, Laura, why haven't you gone and done the face yet? Fun fact, I almost always do my faces last because that way when I get into these smaller details, I can be more tense. So faces are your worst nightmare because that is where you're most likely to want it to look perfect because people are very anal about faces. The motions get a lot smaller. They get a lot less open. For Nico, I always do some nice little brows. We'll give him a nice little cranky eyebrow quirk there. And so you are reeling in your detail quite a bit. You're slowing down your big rambunctious movements and going for something a little bit more controlled. So it's good to get all of your big fluid movements out of the way beforehand. And I'm failing with eyeballs. Fun fact, eyeballs are one of the things I have the most trouble with. We're going to give him a little scowl because he's so cute when he scowls. So, sketching his eyeballs here. There are his eyeballs. Fun anatomy trick. If you always want your faces to look on point, make sure the ear matches up with your eye line. The top eyelid and your ear should be about center. Otherwise, your face is going to look really off proportion. Then I go ahead and I do a very light sketching of where the skull is because you need to know where your skull is at. Always, always, always study anatomy, guys. It's critical. So poor Neeks and his eyebrow bags. Well, his eyebrow bags, totally. These are eyebrow bags. He's carrying his bags under his eyebrows. I also tend to, when I'm doing these, I sketch in where I'm going to have some shading on the nose. And sometimes if it's Nico, I'll sketch in like a little bit of extra shading where he's a little gaunt, depending on what version of Nico I'm working with. Because, you know, it's Nico. He's always sad. So I've got a lot of this detail and now you're like, Laura, but what about the hair? And I can hear you all screaming at me through this camera lens. It's terrible. Oh my gosh, guys. So for hair. Hair is just like the body, but I always like to do my hair last because once I know what my face is going to look like, it's easy. So with Nico, I do the nice little swoop. And as I said, I've drawn Nico so much, it's just a matter of repetition at this point. I know exactly where I want all his shit to be. I probably shouldn't curse. It's Nico though. I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. So I go ahead and I pull his hair in. Hair is very forgiving, especially black hair because you're going to be able to add to it. That's another thing. Stay loose. There is no need to be perfect. Sketches that have mess to them have character. They show that you've got energy. You don't need to have all your lines be perfectly clean. That's not what sketching is about. You don't need to worry about perfect cleanliness when you're doing this. I actually really like how this is turning out too, and it's just a warm-up. That's the other thing. When you're loose and you're warming up and you're doing this, you might draw something you love on accident because you're like, whatever, it's just a throwaway drawing, and you're like, oh, hey, look, that actually looks pretty cute. And that happens to me frequently. Nico's cute little bits and bobs there. All right, and then sometimes I'll change the face up a little bit, add in some more sketch, and I'll just go through in here and I'll fill in his hair slowly, and I'll just, you know, very loose, very fluid, I'm not sitting here going like coloring in every single part until all the white's gone. There's no need for that. Implied lines are already at work here. Your eye is already filling in where I haven't colored, and it stays so loose that it gives it a lot of energy, and that energy is what I love to see in people's sketch work. So there you have it. It's a Nico. Hooray! So this is pretty much my finished sketch work here. If I decide to refine something or add details, like say I want to, you know, come in here and darken up this and then fill in his hoodie, you know, and he's got his shirt on under there. Say I want to give him some stripes on his sleeves. This is what sketching is all about. It's about putting in the implied details. Say I want to color in his hoodie pocket. Now he's got some more detail to his hoodie. I'm a big fan of seam lines too. I really like doing seam lines. There's his little jacket hoodie strings. So there is a character that I know very, very well. One that I can pretty much draw blindfolded. Now we're going to give poor Soupy's arm a break and we'll come back for the next bit. All right, so for the second drawing that we're doing today, we are going to be drawing a character of mine, an original character that I've drawn a couple of times. And so you guys probably saw some of his sketches, Claris. So Claris is a character that is still in development. And my process for drawing original characters is a lot different than doing fan art. Because this is a character coming out of my own head, I'm pulling sources. I make a Pinterest board, who doesn't? And I will look at different ideas for the character. Things that I come up with at the beginning are things like ethnicity, general backstory, if they're going to have some sort of a magical race, body type, and how that is going to play into their character. So my goal for Claris has been pretty simple. He is a elven race. He is tall, he's thin, he's elegant. His skin tone is dark, but you can't really tell that in the ballpoint sketches just yet. So for Claris, I tend to start with more of a long face. So I elongate my circle for his face. And then, I don't know, let's have him doing something with his arm up. So maybe he's gesturing, like, what the crap is going on? So I kind of gesture those in. I think I'm going to gesture in his waist. He's very thin, so I just kind of shape that in. Now, as you can see, I am shaping these areas into two parts. This actually is going to connect to his pelvic bone down here. His line of motion is pretty solid here, so we've got a flow in. The line starts here, comes out here. It can also arguably be going through his arms. We've got his rib cage coming about here. It's a pretty front view. His pectorals would be about there. His shoulders would be about there. And so for his arm, I'm actually going to sketch in the base part of his arm first. And then we are going to pull this up, put his shoulder in, and we're just going to sketch around that and shape that into what we want it to look like. So there is the basic sketch there for that. And then again, over here, we've got his arm coming down. He's obviously irate about something. He's got some flow to his body, some movement down here. One of his hands is going to be here. One of his hands is going to be up here. And as you can see, I'm just sketching in a lot of gesture. And gesture is the key to a fluid sketch. If you want your drawing to stand on its own, its sketch has to stand up too. When you're done with your sketch, you should see all the fluid movement that you could possibly want. You shouldn't actually want to erase anything. When you put it up online, you shouldn't want to refine it. You should be pretty pleased with how it looks, even if it's messy. So for Claris's face, he's very thin-faced, very long elegant cheekbone, very pointed chin, very elven. It's funny because his boyfriend is a hunk of a man. He's massive. So when I'm drawing elves, I actually do start with a human ear because that is where the eye would line up. If I put the ear up here, then I accidentally sometimes line the eye too high and then they end up with like alien eyeball thing going on and it's not particularly attractive. So I'm like, oh, hey. So as you can see, I've sketched in the majority of his anatomy at this point. Now, Clarice is pretty thin. I think that if I were sketching this again, if I were to do an iteration, another sketch of this, I'd thin out his arms and move his shoulders in just a little bit more to make him a little bit more elegant and lithe. But there we go. We've got that. So what is he going to be wearing? We should probably actually do something with his hands. Now, when I say hands, I hope everybody does what I do internally, which is have your head explode. I actually really like drawing hands, but my chronic problem is that I draw one hand better than the other, and when you're drawing in ink, there's no way to fix it. So this is another one of those moments where you might get really tense. Also, don't be afraid to use your own body as a model. Hand. How do this hand? So I would hold my hand up, find out exactly where the thumb is going to be. Looks like the thumb is pointing back. So his fingers are actually going to be, depending on what he's doing with his hand, they're going to be about there. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's a sketch. And if I want to go in and refine those fingers later, he's throwing something over his shoulder. I don't know what the frick he's doing there. Gosh, buddy. He's mad about something. He's storming around. He's ticked. So then he's got a hand over here. He's got a thumb there. Maybe he's clenching this hand. Well, yeah, we'll do that. He'll be clenching that hand. So we've got his nice little elbow there. He's got a body. We're good. This is looking good. So what are you wearing, man? I don't even know. Clarice, what do you want to wear today? Well, Clarice is pretty fond of anything that feels like a sweater, looks like a sweater, is a sweater. So we'll put him in a sweater. Sounds like a good plan. So I'm going to gesture in his sweater here. He's going to have a nice tighter fitting sweater, except for that down here along his hips, because he's so thin, it'll gather. We'll go ahead and throw some nice lines in there. As you can tell, I am really just kind of being like whatever about these lines. He's got a very long body. His groin line is actually going to start under his sweater. So he's got this nice long, super long sweater. His legs would actually be starting about there. His crotch line would be right about there. So there are his general legs as a thing. Another thing to remember when you're sketching is all of your clothing fluidity is going to come from these sketches. So don't draw tight, draw loose. It's okay to use multiple lines. As you can tell, I'm using these big, flowing, swift lines. I'm not never once is my face coming down here. We've got nice big fluid sweeping lines to help really add into that fluidity. And I'm going to actually give this a collar that kind of sweeps a little bit. Another thing to remember when you're sketching is it's okay to make lots of lines up here by the collar and everything. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay to be loose. I don't know what he's throwing over his shoulder. Maybe he's pissed. Maybe he just threw a can over his shoulder. I don't know. He's a rebel. So then I go ahead, we're coming up into the face again, just like with Nico. We're going to get that ear detail in there. I've made his ear point, but you can still loosely see where the actual human ear shape is. Now he's an older guy. He's actually about 27 in canon. So I'm going to give her, oh, well, I guess that's not entirely wrong. He is non-binary. He just goes by a he pronoun. He's going to have really thin eyebrows. I don't know, maybe he's just like WTF, mate. I don't know what he's doing here. He's also got higher eyes to help him signify that he is older. The higher the eye, the older the character is going to look. Just like the lower the eye, the younger the character is going to look. I'm actually basing his eye shape off of a Korean eye shape model. So he's got the double lid that a lot of Asian eyes do. When it's colored in, he has a extra amount of lid down here as well. And that's just to help give him some elegance because gosh, you lovely, lovely people over there in the Asia land with your beautiful face shapes and gorgeous eyes. So pretty. It's just like my favorite. I love doing deep, deep African skin tones. Ugh, I could paint those all day long. Beautiful. So here he is, being mad. He's got his eyes there. I don't know what he's talking about. He's going to have his mouth open, though. So there's his mouth, being like, yep. Now, this is a piece that obviously isn't very refined. There's a lot to it that I would want to change. I wouldn't even necessarily say that I am happy with this piece. But that's okay, because I can go back and I can work it again. And when you're working with new characters, that's the thing. A lot of this is going to be tricky because I don't exactly know what his finalized design is going to be like. So he's got that big swooping part that you guys saw in those base sketches that everybody seemed to really like, which was exciting because I was just like, this looks like crap. That's another thing. Don't be afraid to post your stuff online. You'll be surprised that most people are very loving of your work, even if you are not giving it a lot of credit. And with his hair, he doesn't have any hair hanging in his face. He just has these parts that come to the side. His part is actually naturally on this side, and then it comes down and it loops up into that nice little side pony. So he's got... Again, I'm doing the big old swoopy lines. I'm re-sketching over. I'm reshaping. And that is the key to good sketching, is being willing to be versatile and to not be a perfectionist. There is no room for perfectionism in art. You are always growing. You are always changing. If you stop growing or changing, you need to be less of a perfectionist. Always be humble. I literally... know that I am like the least qualified person to be drawing and trying to teach people. So, my camera lady's hitting me. So, coming in here, adding some more fine details. You know, maybe he's got an inseam on his pant line there. Maybe he's got a pocket there. You know, well, we're figuring it out. And, you know, if you come in here, his groin line is going to be here. His hips are about, let's see, there's a hip, there's a hip. So his hips are about there, his bones are coming about there, his shoulder line comes about there. So you've got all of these lines in here. I would still upload it with all those lines in the center of it, because I think that that shows a lot of the process. And I'm going to tell you, I actually buy the most at Artist Alley. I buy people's sketchbooks, because I think you learn the most about an artist in their sketching time. If you get a final piece, you see all of their completed work, but you don't see their process. And I love seeing the process of other artists. I think I learn the most looking at other people's sketches. So there is a sketch of Claris. I'm still not entirely sold on his design. It's still definitely a work in progress. I think I really like what his face is doing. I think that I would like to work more on his general body shape. Yeah, he's just throwing something over his shoulder. I don't know, like a wadded up piece of paper. Who knows? Bye. So, and these are just basic gesture sketches. There are several things wrong with this right now that I can tell you about. This should be higher. So if I were to resketch this, I would raise that arm so that it is more along that term. I think that I would probably pull his arm in a little bit more to give him more of a passive gesture, because I didn't give him a very sharp expression. The alternative is that I could come in here and give him a really sharp eyebrow. And if I were to do something like that, sometimes I use white pencil. There are several different kinds of correction fluid here. The white paint pen, for example. So if you're working on a piece and you want to see what something would look like corrected, you can go ahead and run some white paintbrush over there. So now he looks a little bit more angry, you know? And just playing with these. Would I upload this to Tumblr? No, probably not. Then again, I might change my mind in 20 minutes. We'll find out. I might actually do a resketch of this because it is a good process piece. But that pretty much wraps up the last one. Soupy, are you good for one more?
Go for it.
Cool. So, here we are. At the final drawing for the traditional set, I am going to draw a character I have never drawn before. Bum, bum, bum. So, you guys probably got that like right up in your ear because it's like right there. So, when I am doing a character I have never drawn before, I always open up a reference photo. If I'm doing fan art, which this is going to be a fan art piece, I always open up a reference photo. Now, where I get that reference photo could be anywhere from Pinterest to Google to Tumblr. We'll find out. So I think we are going to do I guess it's not technically, I have drawn sketches of Yuri on Ice, but I think we're going to do Victor because I haven't done much with his drawings. I've only done one sketch of him, so, and that wasn't even a real sketch. I was half asleep. Images. So here I have the pictures of Victor on my lovely computer, and I would say do not go for fan art. Go for something like this. Go for actual reference art when you are first drawing a picture of a character. The reason for this being that if you are drawing from fan art, if you are looking at fan art references when you are learning to draw a new character, you're not going to get your own influence as based on the art from the anime. You're going to get the influence of the other artist. So my suggestion when you're drawing a new character and you're learning to sketch them is to look at their direct art or their direct face and do lots of sketches in your own work, and then go explore other people's takes on the characters and see if there's anything you'd like to incorporate. There's nothing wrong with looking at somebody's work and taking inspiration from that piece. There is everything wrong with copying someone's style. And this comes down to paint dropping the character colors off of somebody else's work, tracing other people's work, taking other people's work and copying it tit for tat. You're hurting them, you're hurting you, just don't do it. There is a lot to be said about an artist who can take a peek at this and create something on their own paper without looking at other people's stuff and stealing their own work. There's a difference, though, between looking at, say, this beautiful piece here by Grotesque Doll and being like, wow, I really like that bang sweep, and learning how to do it in your own style versus, say, looking at this beautiful piece by Daria White and copying every aspect of it, including taking it into your account for your drawing software and color dropping the skin colors and the hair colors. Do that on your own. Be creative. So, we are going to draw Victor Nikiforova, whose name I cannot pronounce. We're going to do it. Oh, Victor, how much I love you. I know the new episode is coming up. So when I'm sketching a character for the first time, I do a bust. I don't do a full body. So I come in because, as I said, the face is the key to the character. I do a lot of 3/4 views. I'm sure you're wondering why. 3/4 views are the best way to show expression on a face. Anybody who animates will tell you that a front view and a full side view are the flattest ways of drawing. You're going to get the least amount of dimension, the least amount of versatility, and the least amount of actual character expression. It's why I very, very rarely draw from those perspectives. So for Victor, he's an older guy, like me. I'm an older guy. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to draw his neck in. I'm going to draw his little Adam's apple in. Let's see, what should we have him wearing? Something cute, maybe? I don't know, like a jacket? Jacket Victor? Jacket Victor? No, we're going to give him a turtleneck. Turtleneck Victor. Aw, yeah. That's some sexy stuff right there. Good job. So, when I'm looking at a character, especially anime, oh god, why did I pick anime? They don't even have noses. I'm so bad at drawing from anime, guys. Like, I look at Free, I try to draw Free, nothing happens that's good. I have like sketchbooks filled with scrapped work from Free. No internet ever saw that. So for the noses, when you're drawing for an anime, I do not encourage you to draw anime style. I do encourage you to draw your own style, your own work, do your own thing. I'm not going to not draw noses. They're important. People breathe through them. So, Victor, oh, Victor, your hair. So I'm probably actually going to cry when I start doing his hair because his part is crazy, which is funny because I have his haircut. So, lol. Let's see, we're going to have him smiling, so we're going to give him a nice soft little eyebrow sketch in there. And then he's got just the loveliest little rounded eyes, so we're going to give him some nice little rounded eyes. And just like I was saying, the creators made his eyes smaller and higher up to give him the appearance of age over Yuri. So he's got the smaller eye shapes, the higher up eye shape to make him appear a bit older. He's also got the classic smaller pupil of modern anime, which is really great because everybody's really tired of that shonen giant eyeball crap. I do that. Oh, never mind. So, anyway, don't take any of my advice on eyeball crap, apparently. I really hope there's no crap in your eyeballs. That's not good. That causes pink eye. So, yes. Art lessons with Laura. It's tons of fun. Go Celtic Swan, go. Okay, so.
Very educational.
I know. Don't put poop in your eyes. Oh. So here we have a very rough sketch. And as you can see, just like last time, just like in the times before, I'm giving myself a lot of room to fiddle around. I'm allowing myself to change the lines. I'm allowing myself to move lines around. I'm not being perfectionist about it. I am going a little bit slower though, because this isn't a character that I know very well. So, oh, his eye looks just a little crooked. Whoops, sorry, Victor. Give him a little bit of an eye crease there, because I like that on the older anime characters. Makes them look a little older. All right, so Victor's hair. Victor's hair. Oh, gosh. So, for his hair, what I would actually do is shape it first. So he's got this nice little bangy bit there, and then he's got this nice little bangy bit over here. Much bangy bits. So he's got that going on. It's like swooping off the side of his head a little bit. And then I would come in here. He's got the nice piecey bangs. They fall in front of his nose a little bit, so I'll go ahead and shape those in. Oh gosh. Yeah, there's always room to fiddle around. Victor, why do you have an emo boy band haircut from the 90s? What the heck? He wants to be Green Day. That's why. Crawling in my skin. Oh wait, that's not Green Day. Never mind. What decade are we from? I don't even know anymore. So from what I've gathered of Victor is he does have an undercut. So we're going to go ahead and draw that in. So when I draw in an undercut, I actually go ahead and, like before with his bangs, I sculpt his bangs in. And then you run into this lovely problem here where you have to change where you're looking at your thing. Because you're like, oh, there we go. Oh, you handsome dude. Look at your handsome face. Fucking trash bag. Oh my God. So, my language is terrible. I know. Sorry, guys. I'm Southern. That's no excuse.
You can pretend it is.
So, there's his lovely little underbit there. And I always try to give them some semblance of a part if they've got short hair. And then to accentuate any details, go back over the areas. Be loose. Don't come in here, or it's going to come out really stiff. It's going to come out really awkward looking. Stay loose. Everything looks better when you aren't tense. So, actually, this didn't turn out half bad for anime. I really can't anime at all. It's terrible. So, there's his little ear. Oh, Victor, why don't you have freaking earrings? I wish you had earrings. That's an aesthetic of mine. Extremely gay men with earrings. I'm an extremely gay man with earrings, so this all works. So, actually, I'm not wearing any earrings today because my ears are actually terribly allergic to most earrings. So yeah, here is a nice little sketch. Sometimes when I finish these sketches, if I like the way they've turned out, I will come in here, I'll add a little shading. Come in there, add a little shading. His hair is just so piecey. So, a little bit more there. You might add in like a little bit of extra, maybe sketch in some shoulders. Some people will go as far as to draw in a whole body from this point. I don't recommend it. Every time I've ever tried, it hasn't gone well because you are already not focusing on body proportions at this point. You've already gone into the detailing stage. So you're not going to be able to really draw the proportions as well as if you'd skeletoned them out in the beginning. If you draw a bust, commit. If you draw a body, commit. Don't try to do one halfway on either end or it's not going to go the way you want. So there is a nice little Victor here. Yeah. And I'll probably actually upload that one. I think it came out pretty cute. Pretty cute, pretty cute. And so that is how I ballpoint pen sketch, guys. And I think that the real trick to all of this is just staying loose, staying open, not getting overwhelmed. If you start getting really tense, step away, come back. Iteration, draw it over and over and over again. It does not have to be perfect the first time. It takes practice. And I do suggest sketching in pen. because you have to commit to every line you put down on the paper. It's not going away. You can't erase it. And it makes you more confident in the lines you put down. It takes a lot of practice. The first few days suck. But once you get there, you get so used to how the pen responds. You also have opacity capabilities. You can start out really light, go dark, just like with a pencil. And you can do gradients with your ink. And it gives you a lot of ability to work. And frankly, it looks impressive. You whip out a freaking ballpoint pen on a napkin and make a full doodle in ink. Wow. Like, I mean, that's a dinner trick I want to see all the time. Not that I do it because I'm too shy to draw in public, but, you know.
The camera's yelling at you.
Is it? Okay. Well, my camera is yelling at me, so we are going to go ahead and conclude this and move back over to the laptop camera. All right. All right, everybody. And that concludes the traditional sketching portion of these videos. Stay tuned because tomorrow or the day after, I will upload the digital portion. Now, I'm not nearly so educational with digital sketching, but it's a lot of the same premise. There's just some different techniques to it, and I'll explain the different kinds of brushes I prefer for sketching. Yeah, my cat is being super cute over on the sofa. I kind of want to go steal him and bring him over, but I feel like a jerk. So he's just going to sit there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was useful. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I will go ahead and give them a poke and a prod and answer anything that I can. If you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see in future videos, go ahead and give those a poke. And then there is a shout out to our gaming channel. So my lovely camera lady, Soupy, who doesn't want to be on the camera, she and I are going to be starting a video channel. Both of us play a lot of the video games that are pretty popular in this particular fandom. I play Harvest Moon. We both play Minecraft. She plays a lot of RPGs and dungeon crawlers, don't you? Don't you do some of those?
On the computer, I do a lot of sandbox mostly.
Sandbox?
Yeah.
We might do a dungeon crawler or two, maybe.
Which ones would be dungeon crawlers, you think?
I don't know. We'd have to figure it out. Yeah. Well, we're thinking about launching a gaming channel. And if you guys had any suggestions for that, or if you'd like to see that, or if you have any names for the channel itself, like Nerp and Derp, try to record a video. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead and let us know. Give us a shout out there and see if anybody, we want to see if anybody's really interested in that here. We're probably going to advertise it here so that anybody who wants to see me royally screw myself over in Minecraft can do that. I'll also be playing the new Harvest Moon live and probably do another playthrough of the new Pokemon game, and then I'll draw for it because I'm a trash heap. But yeah, if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and a subscribe, and go ahead and share it with the universe so that we can get some views on this channel and get it spread around so that I'm not just sad and lonely and sitting around making videos for nobody. But yeah, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, give us a comment to let us know what you thought, and I will talk to you later. So this is Celtic Swan saying aloha.